So our next section is all about what's called an arc of a circle. Now, an arc is just a curved portion of the circle. So like the crust on a slice of pizza almost, that just little curvy part, doesn't have any sauce or toppings on it, just that little edge. So there are three different types of arcs, and I'm going to try and give you the simplest definition that I've come up with. A minor arc is less than half of the circle. So anytime you're given an arc that is physically less than half of the circle, it is a minor arc. And then a major arc is more than half the circle. Now these arcs are named differently. That's why I've kind of separated them into two. So a minor arc being less than half would be like, BC, or even this bigger arc, CD. That would also be a minor arc. So you're just kind of having to look at these real quick to see if they're less than half the circle or not. If they are less than half the circle, they are a minor arc, and they are named with two letters. Those letters being the endpoint of the arc. So like arc CD. And the notation for that is just the two letters with the little arc across the top of it. Kind of like a segment, but since it's not a straight line, it's named with a curved line. However, with our assignments being in Google Classroom, using forms and docs and things of that nature, I can't use that notation on these. So you're going to see them written out as arc CD. I'll actually use the word arc and then put the endpoints for that arc. So major arcs. This one is different because more than half of a circle. So I'm going to try and grab one here out of my picture. Like if I went from F all the way around to D. Okay. Now, if you just gave me the name arc FD, I'm going to assume it's a minor one and look at this arc, the shortest distance. However, a major arc needs to go the long route to get from F to D, not the shortest one possible. So I'm going to name that one with three letters. And that middle letter needs to be one of the 2 points that is in between F and D the long way. So I would name this guy arc F, B, D, or F, B. That's the same one. F, C, D. Now those two arcs are the same even though they have different names, right? All I'm doing is I'm distinguishing. I need to go through point B or C before I go from F to D. I have to take the long route. And again, in our assignments, I'll name it arc F, B, D. You will not see that curved line across the top. All right, a semicircle. A semicircle is exactly what it sounds like. It is half of a circle. So if I went from, say, B to E, that is physically half of the circle. So I would name that as such BE. BE. Okay? If for some reason, but I don't see this happening, if for some reason it was necessary to distinguish the upper semicircle from the lower one, so what I mean from that is if you needed to distinguish between the purple and the green, you could throw in that middle letter of F or C or D, depending on if you needed the purple one or the green one. Okay? I won't name them with 3 letters unless it's necessary to name them with 3 letters. When we get into measuring arcs, which will be Tuesday's lesson because there's no school on Monday. When we get into Tuesday's lesson where you're measuring these things, it might make a difference which arc we're talking about. But for the most part, you'll see arc, BE. Who knows, I might even throw in semicircle. BE. Okay, so here's what your assignment is going to be. I'm going to give you an arc and ask you if it is minor, major, or a semicircle. And then the last couple of questions, you are going to have to name me a minor, major, or semicircle. Okay, so let's just say I picked BF, that purple arc right there. That would be a minor arc, that would be a minor arc because it is less than half of the circle. These are just, there's no numbers to this. You just have to look at it and say, is that more than half the circle, less than half the circle, or is it exactly half the circle? What if I did, say, from B all the way around to D? So arc BFD, that is a major arc because it is more than half the circle. And then again, if I just went from B to E, that would be a semicircle, half the circle. There's no math to this, guys. This is just look at the picture. Tell me what you think.